Welcome to another episode of the Waffle Shop podcast. Today, I'm joined by what I can already tell is going to be one of my new favorite people. It's charity shop girl, second-hand fashion advocate, and an air ambulance ambassador. It's the legend Jennifer Graham. Welcome to the Waffle Shop.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. So excited.
I do you know what though? I think you're the first person who's like, before they've come on the podcast, to be like, I listened to it. Or like you've kind of watched it. Because every other time like I invite someone, they have not got a fucking clue what I'm talking
I think maybe as well I did that because I was scared of things that you might ask me as well,
about.
like preparing myself for could he pull the rug from under me and ask me about something.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go
So
like full Oprah now from this moment on. But it is funny though, because literally I have like people who don't understand, like obviously waffling is what us Brits do. We chat a lot. So then when I get someone like American guests on, they have not got a clue what I'm talking about and they think it's about food. And yeah, that's quite a few disappointed guests. But
I did think waffle like fake at first until I watched it and you said about waffle, it's important that we keep
yeah.
waffling and I thought, oh, okay, there's the connection. So I did genuinely the
Great for the
food.
brand. To be fair, pleasantries out the way. How are you doing first? How's today been?
It's actually been stressful because I've got a 2-year old and she's definitely in
Wow.
the and trying to be charity shop girl and do things with a 2-year old is quite difficult, but I'm learning to manage it better. So, in all honesty, today I'm tired and
I honestly don't know how you mums do it. I have so much respect for the lot of yous.
I just think we're just very good at multitasking. I think if you can multitask, you can do. I mean, I
Hectic.
sometimes look like I can't multitask, and I'll be like looking like I'm having a breakdown, but really I'm coping. Just not doing it.
You were the first person who said like I have a breakdown to cover the fact that I'm actually in control.
Yeah,
It's normally the other way around.
the big time. I'm aware of it. I'm aware that I'm having one, but I'm just
Oh, I love that. So yeah, well, pleasantries out of the way. I start each one of my shows with something called the Weekly Waffle, and it's a chance for me and my guests to get something off our chest, and in the hope that makes us feel a little bit better. Now, what's been bothering me this week, Jen? Well, it's been bothering me for a while, but obviously I thought I'd wait and have this kind of conversation with yourself. I feel like you can offer some real good insights this one. And it's what's really bothering me is how kind of throwaway we seem to be at the moment. Like there's this kind of I don't know if it's just like the things that I've noticed since I've started to be a bit more careful with like what I'm buying, what I'm consuming. But there's a lot of like, oh well, don't worry about it, I can just buy another one. And it's like it's that attitude that I'm like, it's surely that's the problem.
yeah. I think that massively started with mobile phones, because we used to
Ah,
have mobile phones for a really long time, didn't we? And it was like
yeah,
we felt good that we had a mobile phone. I was just excited to have a mobile phone or a pager. Points.
Pager.
But I think now, like they're constantly retailers or whoever else, even like mobile phone companies, are constantly pushing down our throat that we need to have the
Yeah,
next. And really, what we've already got is still okay. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's what's getting us people into debt is because they feel like they need to have the latest thing, and that's what hopefully I'm trying to change. But it's just showing that it's okay to still have the same phone if it works. It's okay to still have the same clothes if you like them.
Yeah.
It's okay not to have the latest car. As long if it's working and you're happy, then that's the main thing. But we
That's all
are
it's
a
about.
very much a throwaway society, I'd say.
Because it always reminds me of that Lily Allen song, and I think it's The Fear, and she's like, "We're weapons of mass consumption,"
Yeah,
and it's just like we literally just consume, whether it's like content, whether it's like the new latest mobile phone. It's like, are we actually doing all this stuff because we want this latest stuff, or are we doing it to kind of show up for people that don't care?
but I think a lot. It's the same for food. I would say the same about food, and
Yeah,
you that with like when it's say like an event or it's Christmas, how quickly the shelves empty of things that you
yeah.
probably would never have eaten before. They're like, why are they all gone? Like, why are pickled walnuts sold out? Like, who's he? But people feel like they need to have them. And social media plays a big part in that because
Yeah,
people then post a picture to say that that's what they've got to impress, you know, other people. When it's
yeah.
not, when you take those things away, you know, they're not really that important. But it's very difficult to not be competitive like that with social media, I think.
Do you think it was, is it just social media? Because I remember being in like secondary school and having like, if you didn't have a pair of Rockports
Oh,
or
yeah.
if you didn't have, what was the other one? Was it Wallabies or something like that? Like, then if you didn't have them, then like you were like kind of, oh, you're
Yeah.
not on trend or,
And I think that that's still a case now with families and like parents feeling like their kids have to have like
yeah,
the designer stuff. I mean, I've got two older kids, a 15 and a 13, and my son is all about palm angels and he's all about monk.
yeah,
You know, it's got to have a name on it. But I think if his friends started wearing things that didn't have names on, they'd be very easily influenced as well. It is about like keeping up with everyone else, isn't it?
yeah,
I definitely agree with that. In school, I used to take my packed lunch in a netto bag, my dad put it in once,
yeah.
and let me live it down. Whereas now I'm proudly coming out with my Aldi bags, like not
Do you know
even.
what? That's so true. Remember, like when in, especially in primary school, I think more so, like the no frills at like
Yeah,
Quick Save,
it wasn't
and
good.
and it's like these people like used to get ridiculed for that, whereas now, like this is what I'm like. I'm really interested to like waffle you with you about because there is obviously a real shift at the moment
Yeah,
with this whole kind of sustainability thing. Um, but to be fair, actually, we'll save that. What gets on your go? Missed a
I know
huge part of the show out there.
what gets on my nerves, right? Thinking about this a lot, and there's lots of things, but the biggest thing for me is, and it's going to make me angry even talking about it. You know, when you are driving and you let somebody out, and the passenger in their car says thank you. Like the person who's driving doesn't say thank you, the passenger does. Or if you're a
Put
passenger
the
is in
hands up.
your car, yeah, and you're like butt out, like it's not your car. I'll say I might not have wanted to say thank you, but why you say thank you for me? That literally, and it's so stupid, but it drives me insane, honestly. Or when a passenger goes, they're letting you go, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm okay. I know, I'm aware of what's going on. Stop taking control. So that's definitely what winds me up.
Do you know what though? It's gonna be one of those things that like I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna be able to unsee it now. So thank you for ruining that for me.
But going back said about like people no frills. Like I wouldn't have got a no frills chocolate bar out my lunchbox, but now when I used to be at work, I would happily get like a Titan out from
Yeah,
Al's. Like,
yeah.
like cheap, a Titan used to
An
be a Mars.
eraser. An eraser. I love eraser.
You're not like just happy that I'm proud I shop in Aldi. Big deal.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It all goes down the same way, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
it tastes pretty much exactly the same. It's just on the outside. And I think, you know, it comes down to whether it's fashion, whether it's like, you know, your mentality to a
yeah,
certain level that you're all just kind of looking for this like weird approval from people who no one cares. It's like the whole
yeah,
thing about going to the gym and stuff. Like we get so in our heads about these things, like what people are going to think. Like, are they going to think less of me because I've got like a chocolate bar from Aldi? And it's just like, come on, like if at the end of the day, if you're happy with your chocolate bar from
yeah.
Aldi, there is not one person on this planet that tells you that it's less than what they have. It's all a load of shite.
Yeah, I agree with that. And not to get too deep, but I used to very much worry about what other people thought of me, like a
Yeah.
lot. And I the like I listen to podcasts a lot, obviously yours, but I
Thank
do
you. Thank you.
podcasts a lot, and a lot of them say, you know, it's one of the best things for you for like your self-worth is not to worry about what other people think
Yeah.
because if you're happy in yourself, like I'm extremely emotional, like I'm a very highly
Yeah.
emotional. And I used to think of that as like a negative thing. But I'd say, my dad used to say, with age, you won't be bothered what other people think. And I definitely think that that's starting to happen less and less
Yeah.
now. starting to embrace this is who I am. I'm not a bad person. Yes, I'm emotional. Yeah, I feel things more deeper than other people. And that again goes back to everything. Same as with my fashion.
Yeah.
I'm not an extremely confident person, but I'm confident in what I wear and I own what I wear. And I think that that's maybe what's started making me think to embrace more of who I am. And it would be great if
Rightly so as well.
more.
I think there's definitely a shift moving with this. And I think, to be fair, I've noticed it a hell of a lot more, especially in like my lad mates, sort of since starting the podcast and having these kind of conversations and these kind of connections, that slowly but surely those things, like, I used to be petrified of telling people like, oh, a Disney film made me cry. Whereas now I'm like, if I want to cry at The Lion King or if I want to cry it up, I'm like, I can't control it. So I'm not going to give myself a hard time just because something's made me feel a certain way.
Yeah, and I think that like it's important what you're doing as well about making sure that men talk, because it's so important that they talk, because there is a thing about like it's not okay for men to cry and it's not okay for the man
Yeah.
to talk. I'm actually really, really struggling, and it's so important to be able to do that. Same as it's okay for a girl to cry, you know.
Rightly so. Yeah. Let's talk about kind of like the charity shop side of you, charity shop girl. I got want to know, like, there's a few things that you've kind of mentioned already, and I've kind of picked up on, but I kind of want to hear the story from yourself. Like, how did this kind of, I don't want to say character, but like, how did this kind of movement start with you?
I like to say like superhero, because I talk about it as if she's another person. I go,
I
I'm
love
going
that.
reality shop girl. Who am I tonight? Am I Jen or no reality shop girl? But I've always very much had my own style. I never wore what everybody else was wearing. And I'm not saying that we were poor growing up, but
Mhm.
like a lot of people in Liverpool wore like Lacoste tracksuits and they were like over £100. And even
Yeah.
though my mum probably would have bought me one if I wanted one, I didn't want to wear one either.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, we couldn't afford it really, because they were like 150 quid for the whole tracksuit, and people would want to have it for Christmas Day. But I
Yeah.
remember these tartan trousers, these blue suede shoes. It sounds like an awful outfit. It really was an awful outfit. And my friends used to really take the piss out of me, like really take the piss and say, they used to call me, don't step on my blue suede shoes, and say, and that used to bother me. But it never stopped me from just being different and dressing different. And I started shopping in Quiggins, which was a vintage shop in Liverpool. It was like loads of different floors, and it was all like pre-loved vintage
Yeah.
secondhand, and I just loved it. And then from about the age of 17, I just loved a charity shop, and it didn't bother me, if anybody asked. I loved TK Maxx as well,
Yeah.
and people would go, that's lovely, where'd you get that? And I'd be like, oh my god, £2 or £5. It never. And although I am like talking about being a person who worried about what people thought of me,
Mhm.
when it came to what I was wearing and my fashion, it never bothered me saying, and it still doesn't. So I just used to go, yeah, £2, like
Yeah.
£5. I've always, wherever I've lived in Jersey, I've lived in Liverpool, and I live in Cheshire. I always have charity shops. 90% of my wardrobe has been secondhand for since I was 17. So it's always been instilled in me. And then
Yeah.
I got made redundant during COVID from Land Rover, which was a job that I did actually really, really love.
Yeah.
But I got made redundant, and I was pregnant, and I just kind of like was,
That's a
what?
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, what the hell? Because um, my husband, who's actually from Coventry,
Oh,
I'm gonna,
really?
yeah, I'm actually gonna put Chelmsford on the map here because he's from Chel.
Yes.
I told him I'd put Chelmsford on the map, but I
Shout
met
out to Charles Moore.
met Ben, and then I had Joe and Stella who were like 10 and 12, and then I had Joni. So it was a massive gap of not having a baby. We got
Yeah.
married, then we went into lockdown, then Ben's dad passed away, then Ben lost his job, I lost my job. So much stuff happens in
Yeah.
such a short space of time, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, this is it. Like, and then of being brutally honest, I was like, I've got a newborn baby. Who's going to want to employ a woman with a newborn baby? And after COVID, I'm going to struggle to get a job. And then it was my daughter, who's 13 next week. She said, Mum, you need to do TikTok because you need to do your hauls, but also I think that people would love your style, they'll love your personality. And I literally, that is where it started, was just
Yeah.
then. One video in my bedroom, and I was so like quiet, and I was going, oh, I've just bought this top, and I'm going to show you how to wear it 3 ways. And then everyone was like, your voice, you need to do like audio books. And then as I got more confidence, they've stopped saying that now.
Sometimes the confidence is grew. It's like,
And
yeah, no.
I've got more scouts, I think, because in the days I was like, oh, I'm so shy and I'm so quiet. And then people have stopped saying that I've got a very good voice for audiobooks now. But I start then it just literally it just escalated in a very good
Yeah.
way. And I felt like I always say this sentence, and it's quite sad and a bit cheesy, but I've had a cake shop. I had a cake shop a long time ago. I thought that that's what I was supposed to do. I worked at Land Rover. I thought that that's what I was supposed to do, but this is definitely what I'm supposed to do, because it literally makes me so happy. And when I was stood once in a donation centre with the air ambulance, I had this overwhelming thing of, I've always wondered what I'm supposed to do, and this is it. Like, this is where I am meant to be. This is my beating heart, and I'm just so excited about where it's going to go and where it's going already.
That's
I've
how
just,
you know you're doing the right thing.
yeah, it makes you. It's not a chore. When I had the cake
Yeah.
shop, chore. It wasn't a hobby anymore. It was a chore, and I felt like I wasn't getting much back from it. But again, like, I'm a massively empathetic person, and to feel like I can put my empathy into something that is helping is massive as well, because
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that loves a pat on the back. I love someone saying, you're doing a good job. And to see that I'm making changes, but in such a positive way, and becoming almost like a voice for charity retail, is
Yeah.
it. I've found not only what I was supposed to do, but what fits me as a person as well.
Yeah.
Because I am quite emotional and empathetic, and you know, to be around such incredible people all the time, whether that's people in the charity sector, like volunteers or managers or even trustees on the air ambulance.
Yeah.
So it's such an incredible sector to be involved in. It really is.
Do you know what though? I can really hear it in your voice. Like it was like, to be fair, it was about 2, 3 minutes in, and I can get like a huge sense of like one that you know who you are, kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like there is a strong like sense of like identity with you that I'm really kind of getting from this conversation. And not only that, but like I have so much respect for people who kind of turn their kind of not necessarily pain, but I imagine there was obviously elements of that, with like the job losses and COVID was a massive hit for us all. To then turn that kind of pain into a purpose,
yeah,
like I think it's that thing that I always used to hear like a saying like, oh, if you get a job that you love, like you'll never work a day in your life. And like I used to think it was one of those like such a bullshit thing to
yeah,
say until you genuinely
yeah.
find something that you like, ah, like because there's been days when I have had like the worst possible days, like I've not been in the right headspace. But as soon as that record button is pressed, I'm like,
This is where I'm meant.
it's where you're supposed to be.
And I think that's something else that you said recently was about your story can be somebody else's story. And the advice I always say is, don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. Like, when I look at things that I've done in the past, I had a cake shop. I actually sold the cake shop because I had skin cancer. Like, that
Wow.
massively changed me as a person. It gave me massive health anxiety, which I still have now. And that changed me. And then I went on to I went back to being in the car industry because I thought that maybe I should go back to where I was when I was
Yeah.
comfortable. But I've taken massive risks with Charity Shop Girl. Like, last year I did everything for free. I did everything voluntarily, putting my name
Wow.
there and helping, seeing if it was working. I took risks, I made mistakes. But again, talking about me as a person, I'm a massive worrier. I do have health
Yeah.
anxiety because of skin cancer. And
Yeah.
because I'm focused on something, I don't have as much time now. Even my 15-year-old son said that to me. He said, Mum, you're so much happier because you've got
Yeah.
something you love that you're putting everything into. And it is really,
That's yours as well. Like you created this.
it's mine. And I'm very precious about the journey and who she is and what she
Yeah.
represents. You know, I'm conscious about. I love the people that follow me. It's like almost like a family. They
Yeah.
trust me. They love me. I love them. They know me as well. They'll tag me in things that go, or tag me in a basket because I carry a basket, or tag me in something with shoulder pads, and I
Yeah.
think to have created that after a year means that people really have got me already and understood me. And I think that it gave me confidence because I was being myself and people liked me because of I wasn't being anything else. And if that is
Yeah.
not boost, then you know, these people like me because I'm me and I'm authentic and I'm not putting any bells or whistles on it. I'm just literally showing you my stuff from the charity shop, and I'm obviously hilarious, which
Yeah.
helps. But
Exactly.
no,
My face is aching already. Do you know what though? It's so commendable, like, and I'm in awe of people like yourself because there is a lot that people not necessarily know that goes on behind. You know, it's a lot of hard work to kind of show up on, especially on those days when you don't feel like you kind of like showing up. You mentioned there about kind of like the risks and kind of, you know, getting out your comfort zone to a point when like you went back to your comfort zone with the car industry. How do you navigate that fear? Like, is there like a kind of a voice in your head that says like, just go for it? Or because I like what you said about the kind of like the sharing your story part. Like, I've learned more about myself talking to people like you
yeah,
than I have with any kind of self-help book or, you know, guide or whatever it might be. It all comes down to kind of just listening. So I kind of want to throw it over to you. Like, how do you navigate those kind of scary moments of, you know, fear?
I would say it's my friends and family, and it's my friends who've known me since probably when I was like 16, 17. I've got a friend who I used to work with at my first job at Mercedes. She knows me more than I know myself, and she will very easily take me out of a situation by that I'm worried about
Yeah,
by almost telling me how incredible I am. And I think that that is important. If somebody believes in you, like, for example, my friends, my family, if someone believes in you and says, you can do this, even someone that you don't know, if you
yeah,
talk to somebody and you say, I'm thinking of doing this, and they say, that is a really good idea, why don't you give it a try? I think positivity is a massive benefit. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got negative people in my life who I've dipped my toe in the water of talking to them about it. And
yeah,
right, it's not that I don't want to talk to you because you're not going to tell me what I want to hear, but I don't need that right now. And
yeah,
I think that the fear comes from also things that maybe have happened in your life that you've managed to get through.
yeah.
So when I think about that, I suffer with migraines that bad that I have injections in my head. I have nerve blocks in my head,
Wow.
and I have injections in my leg when I get a migraine. And every time I've had a migraine since I was 16, I've thought, I'm not going to survive this. Like, this is a brain tumor. I'm going to die. This is the
Yeah,
worst I've ever experienced. Sometimes I've got up and still cooked a roast dinner. Sometimes I've got up and still looked after my kids. Sometimes I've got up and I've done one of my TikTok videos with a cracking migraine.
yeah,
So when I have those times when I'm struggling, I think back to those times when I thought I wasn't going to cope. And I did cope. You know, I survived skin cancer. I remember waiting for my results from that and thinking, this is it. Like, the results are going to be bad. I'm thinking, I'm not going to survive this. And then I've managed to survive it. You know, it's people believing in you. Like like Leanne, who's just signed me for Web Industries, believes in me like more than anybody's ever believed in me. Like on another level, she gets me and she boosts me up and she finds me the right things. It's about surrounding yourself with people, I think, that get you.
it's finding your tribe, isn't it? It's these
Yeah,
like again, it's one of those cheesy sayings that like if you surround yourself with like 10 millionaires, you'll become the 11th. And it's
yeah.
like, but on the flip side of that, like if you surround yourself with like 10 kind of negative people, you'll become the 11th. It's all about kind of finding your tribe, finding the people that get you, that support you, that elevate you, because it's those kind of things like I think we're in this kind of generation where we're clinging on to things purely for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah,
And it's like, like when you hold a rope, if you hold a rope for too long, it's going to eventually burn your hands if it's being pulled through. And it's like, I think it's the same with people. Like, I'm very similar to yourself in that respect. There's been a lot of people that when I started all of this, I thought, this is it. This is my, this is
yeah,
my kind of my cheerleaders, if you like I would cheer for them, and like vice versa. And then as it's kind of got, you know a little bit more successful, I'm kind of like, ah,
yeah,
okay, you kind of want to see me do well, but like not better than you kind of
yeah,
vibe.
yeah,
But then again, it all comes down to the connection, like having these kind of conversations with people, that I'm realizing that, okay, I'm not a bad person because I want to take that step away.
yeah.
Like, if that's not serving me, it's okay to, it doesn't align with my core or my values. It's okay to take a step away.
I completely agree with that. And I think that you notice who your supporters are when you are doing well, because, and I've noticed things that like people who I thought were one of my best friends maybe haven't even followed my charity shop girl page or
Yeah.
even liked it or shared it, or, and like some, like you say, I go, oh, right. Like, I don't get that. And it seems sometimes they've watched my story, but they don't follow me. And I just think, don't get like, I want
So bad.
everyone to succeed. I want everyone to, you know, when I left Liverpool, I got a little bit of negativity about leaving Liverpool,
Yeah.
why leave and why do you want to, but it's all about your journey. That's another thing that I think I've learned is that nobody else, some people will say to me, I don't understand why you want to do that. You don't have to understand it because as long as
Your
I
journey.
understand, as long as I'm not hurting anyone and I'm a good person, I'm going to just make the most of being here, you know what I mean? And do the things that I
Oh,
take.
I love you. I think you're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I feel like I'm talking too much, actually.
No, no, don't, this is what you're here for. We're here to talk about you. But to be fair, I do want to kind of go back to, Charity Shop Girl. Because obviously this is now kind of building and growing into something that is a bit of a movement. It's kind of raising awareness on, the top picks you can find at a charity shop, the impact obviously donating to charity can have, obviously, to these incredible causes. What is the plan with this? Because obviously we're in a very difficult time at the moment where, there is a lot of people with a lot of fear in terms of what's coming next, or, struggling to do this, and this. Like, is it just to keep going with the way that you're going, just to kind of educate people around the benefits of kind of shopping at charity shops?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people might think that all I do is just show that I get clothes from the charity shops, but there's so much more to it
Yeah.
than I want to be the voice of charity retail. I want to change the stigma of charity retail. I want people to realize what shopping in a charity shop does to benefit that charity. And
Yeah.
we all know that, like during COVID, what was helping us the most? Communities, local communities, neighbours, people around us, charities were helping people, and everyone was like coming together. These charities, like so many different ones, whether they help homeless people, children, elderly people, people with cancer, animals. There's
Yeah.
so, like, they have a lot of these places aren't even government funded. They just like work solely on like donations or
Mm.
fundraising or like people investing in them or whatever. So it's just really helping people put their money to help them as well. So it's
Yeah.
a whole, that's why I wanted to be charity shop girl, because it wasn't just I'm just showing you what I wear. It's how these
The
charities
impact.
are helping our families. We're all going to at some point be affected by something that one of these charities can help us with, if not a
Yeah.
couple. We've all got charities that are closer to our heart because they mean something to us, because maybe they've helped us. But I think the fashion side of it is there's so many other elements. I'm trying to help people create their own style, to be
Yeah.
confident, where to not feel like if you can't afford a pair of Balenciaga trainers, you don't need to go and buy a pair of Balenciaga.
Yeah.
Comfortable in what you wear and you like what you're wearing. There's so many different parts of it that I'm trying to do with Charity Shop Girl and be relatable as well. I want people
Yeah.
to feel like she's relatable, because it's very difficult not to compare yourself on social media.
Yeah.
And there's people out there who maybe shop in charity shops but don't want to admit that they shop in charity shops. But then people have messaged me saying, you make it really cool. Like I actually say now that I shop in charity shops.
Yeah.
There's so many different elements. And I think if someone was to ask me what my goal would be, it would be I would love to set up my own charity shops and really set this standard of a boutique charity shop. It's all vintage, secondhand, but it's incredible. You're helping the charities, you know, but you're also getting these incredible clothes that
Yeah.
have still got so much wear left in them that we don't need to keep buying all this crap,
This
basically.
is powerful though. And do you know what though? Like I can really kind of see like how much like passion is in this for you. And I think as well, there's a huge element of like finding your identity at the age that you did, like
Yeah,
from, the clothes you got from the charity shop and stuff like that. The impact that has had throughout your life is quite incredible. So for you to now give that back, I'm like, well, look what I've been able to do just because I wasn't kind of as focused on what everyone else was doing. Like, this is where you could be, like finding that identity and just being who you were born to be.
yeah.
That's what's going to take you to these places.
That's what my mum says all the time, that you were born to do this, Jen. You were born to do what you're doing. And it's not, like I say, not just showing my outfits, it's showing how other people can. I don't want to wear an outfit and someone want to copy it. I want someone to be inspired by it and go and
Yeah.
create from it. Whereas I think if I was to just show clothes from a high street shop, they can go out walking and buy it. Whereas someone might go, I wear a lot of men's suits. Like people might go, I would never wear a men's suit. I'm going to go and buy one.
Yeah.
Then they on, they feel great. It cost a fiver or £10. I've helped someone then without actually sitting there and helping someone. I've made someone go out and do something different out of their comfort zone. They feel great. They save money. The charity's benefited. So it's
Yeah.
all these little things that I'm doing in the background that people don't realize that I'm doing. And that's just what I want to do, is just help
Yeah.
charity, help sustainable fashion, help people find their identity with fashion and clothes and not feel like that they've got to keep up with next door because they've got Balenciagas on.
Oh no. They look like socks.
And
I
I,
mean, each of their own.
I should have said to you, actually, one of the things that bothers me is when you see someone like a lad at the bus stop with a pair of Balenciagas on, you think, if you didn't buy them Balenciagas, like that's the whole point of how people want to look a certain way instead
Yeah.
of being practical and thinking, right, those trainers are £800. I'm gonna get on the bus in them, and I'm gonna spend £800 on driving lessons and wear, okay, maybe not Donny, but you know what I mean, like just
Yeah. Oh, we've all done it. But just like, it's I find it so like relatable. Like I've not just from like a fashion point of view, like even from like a financial point of view, like I've put myself in some situations purely because I thought that's what everyone wanted to do. Like I was doing all these things that I thought made me look good, but they didn't make me feel good. And I think that's a huge kind of
yeah.
sign, whether it comes down to fashion, whether it comes down to, your friends or whatever situation you're in. If it's not making you feel good, you are well within your rights to be like, no, this isn't for me.
Well, I think you only have to think about COVID for that, because during COVID, we all, as people, had amazing cars on the drive. We had all these incredible clothes hanging up in the wardrobe. But
Yeah.
all we cared about was our family and friends being healthy and being okay. And when we stripped it all away, we realized that they weren't actually the things that made us happy. It was the people that we were around. And we wanted everyone to be okay. We wanted to support everyone. We were checking on everyone, making sure everyone was okay. I think if anything positive came from that, it did make people realize that we don't need all these materialistic
Yeah.
things. They're not important, because this is what's important. Because even though it was all stripped back and taken away from us, and we had the bare minimum, we were allowed to do the bare minimum. We weren't going on these like £1,000 holidays,
Yeah.
holidaying in our garden or whatever
Yeah, exactly. The
you
tent.
know. Yeah, exactly. But well, like I know people who during COVID, fathers had never cooked before and they were learning to cook for their family. And so I always think as well that I had a Mercedes when I worked at Mercedes, and then I left Mercedes and the car got taken off me and I got a Toyota Yaris. And I never forget thinking to myself, I didn't lose any friends because of that. Like my friends
Yeah.
did. I'm not going to come out with you now because you've got a Toyota Yaris. So that just shows that it's not important.
Hmm.
Like there's so many other things that are so much more important. And as you go through life and things happen to you, you realize those things aren't important.
That's powerful. I think that's the soundbite right there. That was. I feel like I want to clap. It was great. When it comes to charity shops, then, so do you have any tips? I mean, because obviously I've been in charity shops. I don't think I haven't bought half as much as what I should from charity shops, especially from charities that have like really supported me on my journey, and whether it's me personally or whether it's the situation that I'm in with my mom. But is there any kind of tips that you advise, like, especially when it comes to like the fashion element? Like, because I imagine like it's just a bit of a free for all. I'm just like, do you know what? If you go in, you like it, everyone's a
Yeah,
winner.
the thing is, if you follow trends and you like trends, so you like to follow, you like what's in the shops now, or you've got a
Yeah,
certain style, I guarantee you that every single charity shop you ever step foot in will have something that you like. The biggest tip I would give anyone is you've got to be prepared to rummage. It's not
yeah,
going to. So the other day I was in Bernardo's and the girl was with me. She was like, I can tell why you get stuff because I'm literally like lifting stuff up and open boxes. I open every box because you've got to be prepared to rummage. That is my main tip, is that you can't go in and go, oh, there's nothing in here for me, because you've got to look in every section. Women look in the men's section, you've got to look everywhere, because you just never know what you're going to find. But I guarantee there'll be something in there that you will like. And you've got to be quite open-minded. Like
yeah,
you have got to leave that stigma at the door. If you are unsure about secondhand shopping, until you're ready, you won't fully open yourself up into a charity shop, because you will still be like, oh, I'm not touching that. But charity shops aren't like that anymore. I mean, there's the odd one that I walk in and go, no, I won't be buying anything in here. And I
yeah,
just, but they're very much like they're fizzling out big time, and they're up
yeah,
and the merchandising is incredible. And I'd just say you got to rummage.
yeah.
Don't. It can be very overwhelming. So if you like certain things, like I love a blazer, so I would say to someone, go and look at blazers first, and then venture around. And once you start getting a bit more, or
Dabble around the inside.
just you gotta build your confidence, especially if you're not a charity shopper. Then when I first met Ben, he used to wait outside the shop for me, and he wouldn't come in, especially if we were in like Leamington or Stratford, in case he
Yeah.
saw. He'd have a cap on, and he'd be like, "Oh, tired."
To
But
be
now
fair,
he
I was going to bring this up because obviously my mom is now in a home over in Leamington, and she is constantly saying like it's the one thing like she regrets, like when we kind of go out and about, is that we don't go to enough charity shops because she
Leamington
has. Yeah,
in my top three. Leamington, I actually
this is what she said.
like, that might be my number one place for charity shopping. It is the absolute best place to charity shop, because the quality of the stuff's good.
Yeah,
Like the style of shops is good, and there's loads. So
it's just starting to sound like a
did your mum
extreme sport.
like charity shopping?
Yeah, yeah. So she used to do the whole kind of there was a place in Birmingham. I don't think it was a charity shop, but I'm sure it was like second hand. I think it was called Cow,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Always
Oh,
in that. She was
yeah.
very kind of like old school vintage, like
Oh,
whether it was Lacoste or Fred Perry or like
yeah.
the old kind of like Samba trainers with the Adidas, anything from that kind of era, like she used to kind of run with, but she only used to find it in charity shops because she didn't want to be buying it brand new
Yeah.
because it was like 5, 6 times the price.
She's obviously got the knack then, because you've either got it or you haven't
Yeah.
sometimes. And if you can do it and you can carry it off, even better. Like if you can find something, like I show things sometimes in my videos and go, look what I've bought, and I can tell that people are going, oh God, that looks like something off like Romeo and Michelle reunion. And then I put it on and people are like, actually, that looks really
Yeah.
good. I think it's
I think
about,
that's too fair though. I think that's like a thing at the moment, isn't it? Like we're all guilty of that, like, yeah,
yeah,
that little bit of judgment, but until you try it, you don't know.
yeah. And I always say that, trust me when you see this outfit, and people go, I'm not sure about that. And then when I put it on, they go, actually, that looks really nice. I mean, I have had a couple of fails,
Yeah.
but
We won't talk about them. But yeah, but is it a failure or is it a lesson not to do it again? That's
I think for me, it's like sometimes
it's a
people
failure.
are, I would, I remember when I did my ambulance photo shoot, I wore this blazer and I had these really thick gold chains on. I thought I had them here, but I haven't. And this woman commented saying, don't like the Mr. T chains. And I was like, oh my God, that actually really is.
Stood in front of a helicopter. It's very, very on brand.
And I was like, oh, did I get that wrong? It was only one person. It did upset me, and I haven't won because I felt like I didn't want to look like Mr. T. So I will put that down as a failure. But I guess everyone's different, and everyone might.
Exactly.
I wouldn't wear those shoes, or I wouldn't wear this. But then again, that's when I'm talking about finding your own style. If you like it, like if I pick something up, Ben or someone might say to me, I'm not sure. I go, don't mind, I'm getting it. You know,
Yeah,
it's about you thinking you don't have to like it because you're not wearing it. My dad always says, "Oh, don't
true.
like that." Oh, you're not wearing it, so don't worry about it.
On the flip side of that, how important is it for people to donate to charity shops?
Just as important, because if not the most important, because
Yeah,
we've got to keep that cycle going. You know, we've got to keep good clothes in circulation,
yeah,
and as well, another side of that is people used to pay money to charities every month, didn't they? And people can't afford to do that anymore.
yeah,
And even if you can't afford to shop in a charity shop, you can still support them by donating stuff. So there's all different ways, whether it's volunteering or donating. A bag of clothes that you I once donated a bag of clothes that was like stuff that I hadn't worn for ages. They priced it up and the bag was worth 100 quid. And
wow,
100 quid to a charity is, I always talk about this mite and hospice in Warwickshire.
yeah,
If you spend 15 quid in one of their shops, that pays for a patient's meals in the hospice for a day.
wow,
And you don't realise that if you were to just walk into a charity shop now and donate a jumper, they priced it up, two jumpers, they priced them up at £7.50. You just realise what that's actually doing for a person.
yeah,
Like you just don't, and that's just two items. So if you're donating helps because it obviously keeps clothes out of landfill, we're keeping them in circulation, and again, it's going to encourage people to keep going in the charity shops because if you go in a charity shop and you see amazing stuff, I always go, we need to go back there again because that was so good.
that was a good
And
one.
yeah, that was a really good one, and I love that one because remember I got that from there. So have to be conscious about what they're donating as well.
I imagine like your wall is like one of those like memes you see that are like red string, like to location to
Yeah,
like that was
I,
a good one. Going back
I
there.
do that. I do need to do like a pin map to say where I'm going. But I've literally been all over the country, and
That's incredible.
I'm going to Jersey in 10 days actually with a charity, well, which is charity shop girls getting on an airplane, which is
Go
mental.
global.
I know, but I'm hoping, to be a voice for these smaller charities is really special. You know, they're obviously coming to me because they value what I'm
Yeah,
about, and they know that I'm valuable to them. I mean, I can help them, and they feel like that they can benefit from me. And how special is that to feel that a
yeah,
charity wants to work with you because you can benefit a charity? Like it's like win-win for everyone, isn't it?
absolutely. Like honestly, you're incredible. Like I'm so glad. Like I
Like,
feel so lucky when I have these kind of conversations because I get all kind of like fired up and like I don't know. It makes me feel weird, but not weird in a bad way. But like I
yeah,
feel like all inspired. That's what I'll say.
yeah, I
Inspired.
like it. When people say to me about being like, oh, you're an influencer, I'm like, I want to be an inspirer. That's what I want to
Yeah,
be rather than an influencer. I want to
definitely.
inspire people. And I do feel like that I'm definitely achieving that. You know, a woman come up to me in the shop 2 days ago in Wilmslow, and literally as I come out the shop, I burst into tears because she said to me,
Wow.
you have massively inspired me, like on another level. Like I'd lost who I was. I didn't know my style, and now I'm excited to go into a charity shop. I wore a shirt the other day with horses on. I would never have worn that, but you made me feel like it was okay. And the way that you are, like how different you are, that your hair's short and it's not long, and you don't care that you don't dress like everybody else. You've made me feel like it's okay to be me. And I come out the shop and literally just burst into tears because I thought, you don't even realize that
Oh,
video that you're doing in your bedroom is making somebody
yeah.
feel.
It is weird. It is
Yeah,
like such a surreal feeling when you do get that feedback.
yeah. It's special though, and it like makes you think, oh, I'm going to keep going. You know, that's the
It's the
pattern.
fire, isn't it? Yeah.
Definitely is the fire.
With that, because obviously we talk about a lot of like coping mechanisms like on the show. And I wanted to kind of tap in to kind of like those kind of painful moments for you. Like you mentioned quite a few bits like throughout obviously the podcast. When things get a little bit kind of much, what do you lean to? Obviously, I know like you've got like your videos and like you've got the kids and stuff. Is there anything that you do for yourself that's like, this is for me, for what I need to kind of like get through those moments?
Music,
Yeah.
100 music. Like someone could come and remove my television now, and it wouldn't bother me. But my music is. I'm from a very musical family. Music is everything to me, and if I'm struggling and I'm sad, I usually find the saddest song that I can find. Myself feel even sadder, but yeah, music for me is definitely. I'm baking, obviously. I love
Yeah.
baking, but definitely, I would say music is my like. It helps me. It's my time out. You know what I mean?
Well, your hometown created one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
imagine
and my
like
nan,
what music was played like when you were growing up?
by my parents, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like what did you grow up around? Sorry.
Beach Boys, uh,
Amazing.
Carly Simon, James Taylor, Van Morrison, all like, and my
The
daddy looked like,
heavy hitters.
yeah, Bob Seger. Oh, can't you caught me off guard now? But honestly, like my mum loved music. My nan used to sing in Liverpool. She was a singer. My mum like could play the piano. It's just we're just a very musical family, and I find that music helps me through each mood.
Yeah,
You know, and I have like songs that get me. Like
yeah.
I've just I've got a song for everything. I've even got a playlist on my Spotify for my funeral that I say all the time. Like don't
So have
don't
I.
come out of the playlist and put any little extras on in there because there's something for everything. And I mean, there's about, it's more like a concert, I think, because there's that many songs. I've even got one for like slideshow of my selfies. Can you make sure that this one's playing in the background? And I said to my mum, the ending is really good in that song, so make sure that everybody stays till the end because it's the best.
Like no one's allowed to leave.
Don't let stop it and finish it. They're halfway through, they've got to play it till the end. But that's how important music is to me. Like
Yeah.
it's everything. Like that
I've
is
never heard anyone else say that before about the funeral thing. It's only because, like, it sounds quite morbid, but with the situation that I'm in with my mom, there's a chance that I have to plan a funeral every like 2 to 3 months. It never happens. Obviously, she's an incredibly strong, resilient woman. Like,
yeah.
she pulls through every time, but that's always there at the back of my mind. So I have these songs like not on repeat because that sounds really morbid, but like I have them either in my notes or on a playlist just in case because I need to be prepared.
Yeah. And I think I'd say that my skin cancer probably triggered me having
Yeah,
that because whilst I was waiting for my results, I thought that was it. Like I didn't know what
yeah.
was going to happen. I think that that was going to happen in the first place, but I very much thought if I'm going to get anything right from this, it's going to be the music, you know.
The music, regardless of the results, they'll be bangers. To
The list of songs that definitely are not allowed to be played as well. Do not play this song. You know, it's important that no one plays.
be fair, I round off each one of my episodes with a list of kind of music related questions. And I'm kind of wondering like, so what song will we playing as you're like
Yeah,
cremated or no, we're not gonna do
it's
that. I can't do this.
that's how to answer those questions. Some of them like really like some of them are very deep. You know, like
Yeah.
very. One of them is from my favorite film, Platoon, which is not a great film to be a favorite film, but people are gonna think I'm really disturbed. But the like the little theme tune to that is what's gonna come in, and then like my slideshow of my selfies is. Do you ever watch that program, Dawson's Creek?
I don't
I've,
even know what's happening.
I've got it all planned out, every single part of it. But it's important, it's the main part of it, and everyone's got to understand, like, don't veer off from the playlist. Don't add,
Yeah.
even underneath playlist on Spotify where it says songs that you might recommend, don't add any new recommend. They've got to be what stick to the list, stick to the playlist, because I'll know.
I'll come back and get every single one. Oh my god. That nearly took my breath away, that did. I didn't I think that's the first time someone's come on the waffle shop and funeral procession. Ah, to be fair though, so one of the questions I do always ask is, and I get the impression that it doesn't take you a lot to get on the dance floor, but is there a song that needs to be playing to get you on the dance floor?
Outcast, hey ya.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that, because when I was 17, 18, we used to drink in the Old Monk in Liverpool, and the DJ loved me and my friends because we were always dancing. And anytime that song would come on, I would be straight up there. The dance floor would clear, and I would do this like mental. I hadn't even had a drink, by the way. I would just do it. And it just reminds me of just being 17, 18, having the best time, not worrying about anything, 20 quid in my pocket to buy a couple of Orange Reef, and I was and I could still get a taxi. It's the best times ever. So definitely Outcast, hey yeah.
What a song.
I know.
Shaking it like a Polaroid picture. Every time.
Really love Outcast though. That the Love Below album is one of the best albums.
Yeah.
It's such a good album.
Oh, don't know, because I feel like you're the kind of person that I would sit for hours with and just talk solidly about music and albums.
Really, that's so true, because my music is so up and down. One day I can be listening to Taylor Swift, and then the next minute, I'm listening to Nirvana. It's like just
there's no
it's,
in between.
no, there's no in between. I love Westlife. I'm a massive Westlife fan. But then again, I love the Beach Boys, and
Yeah.
I went to see James Taylor, who was incredible. I love Jamie Cullum. I love, there's
Oh,
just so much different, songs that I like in different music, and they just all come in at different times. 90s R&B is my,
yeah.
when I'm getting ready to go on a night out, I'm in that mood.
That's the hype music.
Yeah.
So, Dwayne, you say that like that kind of music puts like a smile on your face, reminds you of the good times. Obviously, there's songs you've already mentioned that there's songs that you listen to make you feel sadder. Like like you pretend you're in a music video, like they pull on the heartstrings. Is there a song that, or even an album, to be honest, that does that for you?
Yeah, America. Do you know the song Ventura Highway? I'm not going to sing
Mm,
it, but you'll know what it is. But they've got an album that I've actually got an LP, which is one of my favorite albums, and it's one of
yeah,
those that you don't skip any of the songs, and I think that that's a sign of a good album. You've got, I love Westlife, but I hate the song Uptown Girl, and that's on one of my favorite albums. So I
yeah.
don't call it my favorite album, because when Uptown Girl comes on, I go, nope, see ya. So I can't say that that's. So it's definitely America. You'll know the song Ventura
Yeah.
Highway, and they're probably my favorite band of all time.
Wow. I think you are absolutely brilliant. I feel like send me your playlist on the back of it. Just send it over.
Oh, if you know.
Okay, so the final question for you then: if there is a song that you can kind of put into a box, never ever listen to it again, what would it be?
I feel this is going to upset people, because I feel like anytime I tell someone this, I did a poll on my Instagram ages ago saying, what's the worst song? What's your favourite song? And it was most people's favourite song. And I was like, oh God,
Oh,
UB4 Red Red Wine. Don't tell me you like that song.
no, no, no. I'm quite similar with songs like that. I don't understand the hype.
It's just, I just hate it. I
Yeah,
hate it. I don't. Why is it played at everybody's birthday party?
every time.
Why is it always on the radio? And I just no. I would just put that into a box like Room 101. Get rid of it. I just don't
100%.
ever want it again. But that's a hard question, because there's loads.
Yeah. That's a good one though, because I get like really arty farty answers when I ask this question, because I feel like people think like, oh well, I don't want people to think I'm not cool or something. Like I just want to tell you like what you skip. What pisses
Yeah.
you off? Tell me.
That's I just
It's not
hate
like
it.
I'm going to pull them out. I'm like, oh, well, they're here. You can tell them yourself.
I just hope UB40 isn't watching this, or he's like was going to become a fan, and he's like, no, I'm not following her now. She doesn't like my music, but I don't think they care. Genuinely,
No, well,
that's
it's all about personal opinion, isn't it? So,
yeah. And it's such
exactly.
a well-liked song. It's such a well-liked song, isn't it? So yeah, just either
I'm like
that or
with
that.
like with like the Grease mega mix and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
we don't need that
we
anymore.
don't need to. Yeah, but I think that about films. Like, I know this isn't one of the questions, but why is Miss Smith still on the telly on films? Like, there's enough films in the world to never show the same film again. Why are we still paying for Sky Movies to watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Like, honestly, put something else on.
Yeah,
Like,
they're turning that into a TV show now as well.
they're not. Honestly, I don't.
I don't know why I know that, but yeah,
Ocean's 11, Ocean's 13. We've seen it. Like, show us some other films. Why the that's the same as you
not every
before.
number.
Song on again. Simply the best at the end of the party.
Oh,
New York at the end of the party. Mix it up a little bit. Put
do you know
something
what?
else on.
Saying that, Wonderwall. What are
Oh,
your feelings?
I'm not an Oasis fan.
I'm not either.
I, and like, I don't get the hype. And when I see these tweets saying, "Oh, I can't believe they're not getting back together," I'm like, couldn't care less. Like, just
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So when's Brian McFadden going to come back to work? Yeah, I just don't
Like, bring
get.
back Girls Aloud.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm very much. I don't follow the crowd in lots of ways, and I
Yeah.
don't the whole Oasis thing. I just don't get it. I'm not a festival goer either, really. So I don't get that. Like so many people who go to festivals, I'm just like, it's just not for me.
Oh, see, I'm a festival goer.
Oh yeah,
Festival goer. Going to
yeah.
Glastonbury this year for the first time ever. Very
I would like to
excited.
fashion side of things, but I would go if I could come home or if I could
Yeah.
like stay in a really nice hotel. It's the whole like queuing for the toilets for me, queuing for the just can't. I went to see Coldplay once and that was rough.
Bad enough.
Like, people were like weaning cups and then throwing it across. And I was like, no, this is not okay. If this what's
It
happening.
was all yellow.
And you didn't even prepare for that. That was a good
I
joke.
didn't see it off the cuff. It was me. Big Coldplay fan.
I'm a big Coldplay fan. Honestly, a massive Coldplay fan. Rush of Blood's album is another level.
Parachutes for me.
Yeah, honestly, they are. They just nail it every time. And they're like they reinvent themselves every time because every
Yeah.
time they is a little bit different, but it's still it's them if you know what I mean. And I think that honestly, don't get me talking about
I
Coldplay
know,
because
Trevor, I'm gonna wrap this up because I feel like we'll be welcome to episode 7 with Jennifer. Honestly, you have been an absolute diamond to waffle with. Like my face is aching. Like I'm gonna be more conscious now. And I hope everyone listening to this, that old bag of clothes or something that you're thinking like that top doesn't fit me anymore, or that top doesn't quite suit me anymore, donate it because it's gonna not only make a difference, it's gonna put a smile on someone's face, regardless of where that item of clothing goes or where the money goes. So start donating to charity.
and start shopping in charity shops because it's absolutely okay to wear the same thing twice. It's okay to wear something secondhand. Let's change the stigma and get people in the charity shops.
There we go. Thank you so much for joining me for a waffle.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much. Been looking forward to it for ages. So thank you. My cheeks are hurting as well now.
I feel like we're gonna need like a part like 4 and 5 because I need to hear these songs.